All right, man, peace. You know what, brothers? Let me say this real quick. Something is rotten in Denmark and Boston, if that makes any sense. Something is rotten in Denmark and Boston. Because the way that Kyrie Irving speaks, the facial expressions that he makes when he's asked about the current state of his team and what he has planned in free agency, the way in which his teammates respond to questions about his leadership and what their prognostications are for this offseason and the year after. There's something very rotten going on in there. And as I've stated, pretty much from the very start of this season, I saw it coming. I knew that there were going to be chemistry issues because there's no way in the world that you're going to have those young boys win two separate playoff rounds, get to the Eastern Conference Finals Game 7 at home, get that close to getting to the championship round, and have them not change on you. So Kyrie had to battle first his own teammates and then the rest of the NBA. And I believe that it's starting to be too much for him. I believe that it's been too much for him for most of the season. That's why I did a video a while ago called "Is the Pressure to Win an NBA Championship Getting to Kyrie Irving?" And of course, his teammates are going to respond in kind when he shows that he's starting to crack. Scottie Pippen also notices this, and he's going to directly assert, in my view, that many of Kyrie's teammates want him out. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Let's run back Kyrie's eyebrow-raising comments about his future today. Take a look.
At the end of the day, I'm going to do what I feel is best for my career. And, that's just where it stands. And my focus this season is winning the championship with the Boston Celtics. Obviously we had goals coming into the season, and the primary goal is to win the championship. So that's where my focus is.
Has your mindset shifted, though, in regards to re-signing with Boston, like the announcement?
Ask me July 1st.
Did something happen? Did something change?
No, I'm going to just do what's best for me. That's where it really comes down to.
You know what, brothers? Honesty is good. Transparency sometimes can be bad. And there is a direct correlation between honesty and transparency. You can be honest without being transparent. And if you know how to do so, you should. Because most people try to take your transparency and use it to either manipulate you, try to manipulate you, or try to manipulate the situation around you. And it can affect your outlook if you allow it. So be very careful in being transparent. It's one thing to be honest, it's another thing to be transparent. Kyrie was a little bit too transparent here when he did not need to be. All he had to say was, guys, no questions on free agency, no questions, I'm focused on the regular season. And that would have been that.
I'm just trying to be a human being, trying to make the best decision for me and my family. So, obviously, things this season haven't gone as I planned. And that's part of being on a team where you're still trying to figure things out. But at the end of the day, like I said, I've spent the last 8 years trying to do what everybody else wanted me to do in terms of making my decisions and trying to validate through the media, through other personnel, managers, anybody in this business, and I don't owe anybody. So
I agree with that, but once again, too transparent.
So our resident Knicks fan at the show.
But sometimes people become too transparent or transparent in general when they don't give a fuck. And that's the person that you have to worry about, the person who does not give a fuck. Because that means that they're a wild card. You can't really predict what they're going to do. So you just assume that they're going to do what you don't want them to do. And that could necessitate a trade.
Producer Steve, he was happy to hear that. But Scottie, if you were Kyrie's teammate and you heard that, and remember, there's already been friction with the young guys. Kyrie had to publicly apologize to Jaylen Brown earlier this season. What would you think if you were one of the other Celtics?
Well, I think some of his teammates want him to go anyway.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something, man. Scottie Pippen does a very good job on this show. He keeps it really real. And I totally agree with him. Many of his teammates want him gone anyway. I think that they're about done with the Kyrie Irving experience because, quite frankly, I believe that in the minds of many of his teammates, they believe that Kyrie believes that he's good enough to lead them to a championship. And I don't believe that they agree with him on that assertion. In Kyrie's mind, he thinks that he's LeBron James. His teammates do not agree. That's where the divide is occurring. His teammates don't believe that Kyrie is good enough to lead them to a championship. And I think that Kyrie senses that. So the belief is not there. That is why he's probably going to leave. But we'll see.
They're probably happy. They're a little disappointed in what he said as a leader. But I think that they're happy the fact that he could be moved. I think
I felt like those guys looked up to him so much.
They do look up to him. but they look up to him like a little brother who shares his bedroom with his bigger brother. When the bigger brother finally leaves to go to college, they're happy. They might be a little bit sad to see their big brother go, but they're happy to have their own room.
I think they do look up to him, but they want their playing time. They want those minutes back. They want that stage that they had a year ago. And Kyrie has came in and kind of taken those minutes away from those guys. But
now Scottie keeps honing in on the Kyrie Irving return. But once again, to me, it's the Gordon Hayward return that has totally thrown off the chemistry and the synergy in the locker room.
But to me, I think they need Kyrie if they want to have some success.
Absolutely. But once again, in their mind, if Kyrie's not good enough to lead them to a championship, does it really matter? Does it matter that you have Kyrie and you can win 53 games in the regular season and go out in the second or third round? Or you can get rid of Kyrie, let the young guys develop, win 44, 45 games, and maybe still go out in the second round.
But we all know that things have not been going well in Boston for some minutes. But I believe that the Boston Celtics will be better after the All-Star break. I believe that their younger players are no longer thinking about making an All-Star team, and that they can start focusing on what they have to do as a team to win.
Yeah, this is an interesting situation. I think they'll do the same thing after the break. That short sprint. The All-Star break is now 2/3 of the way into the season. Yeah. More. And you got to, if they don't get rid of this,
they've won like 7 of the last 8 games.
They have.
So they're playing well.
But they were playing well last year, even better than this, as Scottie points out, without him.
That's not true. So many of these pundits keep saying the same bullshit about how they were better last year without Kyrie Irving. There is no metric where they were better without Kyrie Irving, other than defense. And that's because they had Terry Rozier there, and they actually had to hold their opposition to a lower amount of points scored to give themselves the chance to win. Their winning percentage was better last year with Kyrie, as were all of their offensive team metrics. So that's a lie.
Yes.
And so now you have to incorporate that. And I don't think we anticipated enough how difficult that was going to be. It's proven to be difficult.
Once again, all of these guys on television tell the same lies. And when Kyrie leaves, then they're all going to recant their statements about how the Celtics were better without Kyrie. And they're going to start to show the same stats that I'm referring to that prove that the Celtics were better with Kyrie, that they're avoiding showing this season for whatever reason. We know why. It's because they hate Kyrie for leaving their boo thing LeBron James. And they're hoping that they can prompt Kyrie to go back to LeBron James in L.A.
Man, they're going to all hear those cheers tonight. You know that the fans at Madison Square Garden are going to be getting in every young Celtics ear. Kyrie wants to come here. Woo. All right, let's...
But anyway, that's basically it on that. I think that Kyrie is starting to consider pulling the plug on his relationships with his teammates. When you start to say some of the things that he's saying, it's very clear that he's losing his composure. When I say his composure, meaning his understanding on how his words are going to affect the outlook of his teammates. But anyway, peace.